Hi, we're at the 650 series of restricted firearms for the Wards and Haynes auctions 2020, August 22nd firearms auction. Virtual walkthrough, for lack of a better term. Mostly quality pieces. On the officers, we had quantity, but we have quality as well. So again, you do have a little cylinder ring. You do have a little bit of handling marks on it, but I mean, lockup is good. This is a tiny little bit loose, probably well within any comparable piece on that cylinder lockup. And the trigger, again, I was doing it off camera, like just wonderful. Single and double action. These ones have an interesting tapered barrel and then the sight. This grip fits oddly. I don't know if there's such a thing as that shrinking like that, or if there's another story to be told, and it's on both sides. So just I don't want to speak for it, but that's where it is. Opening, closing, lock up, triggers, all good. 650 Bravo, the 357 model, which is one we don't see that often. And again, very little signs of use as far as that goes. Even the grips and so on. Trigger is really nice. It's surprisingly light, even on the pull, to be honest. And lockup is very good. Again, if there was an issue on the trigger, I would tell you, because I did do them before we got the camera rolling. Colt 357, because that's just the model of it. And again, your indexing is good. So not a lot to say about that one there. Sounds and looks wonderful. On this one here, on the Hunter, we do have some accessories to go along with it. Those are better seen in the still photos. The scope itself is Colt branded. So this is the original scope to the firearm on the Hunter. Packmeyer grips on it, or Packmeyer style. I shouldn't say they're Packmeyer, they might be. And very, very little signs of any sort of usage on there. I have no doubt that this got used a little bit, and possibly out even hunting, because it was imported from the US, where they can actually do stuff like that. The trigger on this thing, absolute butter, absolute butter. So again, nothing to be concerned about or even to talk too much about on that one. On Delta, this is one of the Pythons in this group. Good classic 6-inch blue, wooden grips, everything that it is intended to be, and minor use handling marks, a little bit of cylinder ring, but mechanically, everything that you expect out of a Python. Both the lockup, the single, the double action triggers, everything that you can imagine is exactly what you would expect from a Python. From a Colt Python. And in the 6-inch blue, to me it's maybe just because that was the one I saw in a magazine back in 1980, but that's the one for me. And if you're going to have a favorite, I know I shouldn't pick favorites, they're like children, and these are kind of all my children this particular sale. But this particular one here is serial number 4579. Very light use. So this is from the, I want to say 1960 plus or minus, maybe a little bit before. A little bit of holster use there, a little bit of handling use, but the trigger on this one, I think, might be the best one in the sale. The double action trigger on this one. And again, that's just, largely my opinion. The point of the whole story is, this thing is beautiful. A little bit of handling use on it. On the Foxtrot lot, this is called a Peacekeeper. This is a newer version. I don't know enough about this one to have a really strong opinion about the finish on it. This has got call it a battle style finish if it was an old Webley or something. And it doesn't have the durability of that battle finish. So you do see it does get marked up from handling and so on. So it's neat. It's rustic, manly looking, but it does leave marks when you play with it and whatnot. Mechanically though, I don't think it's had much miles on it. Let's have a peek inside. Oh yeah, I mean there's a little bit of residue in there, a little bit of cylinder ring, but I don't think I think it's just as good a quality or condition as the rest of them. Cylinder indexing is good. It never intended to be a Python, so we're not going to pretend that it is. But it is a nice clean revolver. On Gulf, On the Trooper Mark III, again, sound like a broken record. Not a lot of use. Certainly no signs of any sort of abuse, so that's the big thing. And mechanically, you're not going to find anything. You know, for the most part, when we were cataloging, we go through them like that. I usually use a little piece of soft stuff to just pop in there and hold and hit the trigger for dry firing, because it just takes too long to put snap caps in all the time. This is in 22. And again, not a lot to talk about because it is good. The less there is, the less to talk about, the better, to be honest. This is on the hotel lot, Diamondback 38 Special, not 357, 38 Special. Again, not quite a, shouldn't be comparing your children, but it's not quite a Python trigger, but it's a nice trigger. It's a very nice trigger. And single and double action. And of course, mechanically, just the indexing, the lockup. There's no reason to think that there's anything mechanically to be concerned about. Another Diamondback 22, grid barrel still virtually the same piece. This one does have the widened addition to the trigger for target use. This one's got a couple of oddities. They've added that. You can see that this release has no bluing on it. It has a very polished look to it. And was there something else on this one? Those two things anyhow, but I don't remember ever seeing that before, that polished cylinder release. So I don't know what the story is behind that, if that was done afterwards or not. But again, mechanically, I've already played with it. Mechanically, very nice. Indexing, very nice. Lockup, very nice. How many times can you say very nice? Colt Boa, 357 Magnum. This is this is Kilo. Again, roughly your 6-inch for old school guys. And mechanically, not a lot of signs of use. Full length lug. Does have this white residue in the checkering of the grips. Not sure what that's all about. Was it a pair of gloves? And it also has some sort of an odd, it's almost like paint, because you see it ends where the frame is on the hammer. And you see if I pull it back, it's not there. So I don't know the story behind that, if that was something that is there and worn off, and it's got a little bit of finish wear on there. Probably a particular holster or case, or maybe it was again, if it was imported from the US where they have stuff in their vehicle, maybe it sat in a particular part of a glove compartment and vibrated on that. So anyhow, that's the 650 lot for the August 22nd, 2020 auction, and we'll talk to you soon.